We all make mistakes in life. This can apply to the stock market as well. Sometimes we're trying new things that we don't quite understand, and we may not implement things the right way. So we need to learn from our mistakes. If these are concerns that you have, stay tuned. I have some answers for you. Before I start on this video, I want to remind you that I have a free workshop that is available to you by clicking on the link in the description box below this video. It's about 90 minutes long. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to offer you some insight and different ways that I think, and to help you possibly think in different ways yourself. The coverage includes a lot of different areas. Of course, I talk about the financial markets in general and a little bit about the stock market itself. I also cover sports. I'm a big fan of sports. Music. I've been playing music since I was very young. And I also talk about professional and personal relationships. The goal of this workshop is to help you to think in either new or different ways, as well as for you to get to know me and my style. We all make mistakes. That's just part of life. None of us are perfect. None of us are born doing things in a magical way. We have to learn skills. And pretty much everything that a human being is capable of doing, we had to learn somehow, some way. We had to learn how to eat, how to walk, how to talk, how to read, and a host of other things. But along the way, we make mistakes. That may seem like common sense and not even worthy of being brought up. However, the game really changes when there is money on the line, or if our emotions are really pushing us that we want something to go higher or lower, or that we want to get in at just the right time or get out at the right time. There are a lot of variables at stake, and so we are bound to make mistakes. We need to learn from those mistakes. That is a big drawback. They say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Well, that can be true. There's something to be said for that not being true as well, where repetition does yield different results sometimes. But the idea is that if we keep making the same mistakes over and over, then we're not learning from our mistakes. And you might have a lot of different ways that you deal with this. So when learning a new skill, very little, if anything, is learned from success. If you've been in the markets for very long, you don't really learn anything from your successful investments or your successful trades. We tend to just chalk them up as being a success. We think we're a genius. We think we have this all figured out. We think we can get in the zone with our investments and trades. Well, just about that time is when something happens that we didn't expect and we end up making mistakes. First of all, not having a healthy respect for the markets is a mistake in and of itself. We have to treat each position or trade or investment with the respect that it deserves, or they have a way of coming back and biting us. How we learn is when we make mistakes. Yes, you can learn from success. Most of the things that I've learned are not through negative reinforcement, it's through positive reinforcement. Human beings have a way of learning when we do things wrong because the consequences are greater, or we don't learn as much when we're right. We often just bring that up as an experience, everything went fine, we move on and go to the next thing, where our mistakes tend to hang around longer. One time I heard a study that said for every one negative statement that is made about a person, it takes 9 times positive statements just to negate that one negative statement. I don't know if that's really true or not, but I have seen that. We tend to focus on the bad instead of the good. Just like with YouTube videos. Lots of people may watch a video and it may get 1 billion likes, but it might get a number of dislikes as well. People tend to focus more on the dislikes rather than on the likes. We do that in the markets. We might have 100 successful positions or investments, but we might have had 1 or 2 that didn't work out the way we had planned, and those are the ones that we end up obsessing over. If it was so easy, everybody would be actively doing it. As I say over and over in my videos, the stock market is not complicated. It's buying, it's selling. That does not mean that it's easy. There are complex processes going on under the surface that makes it more complicated. But the basic idea is pretty simple. There are emotions at play that when you're just looking at a chart or you're thinking, oh, I should have done this here, I should have done that there, it makes a lot of sense to you. But when you're in the heat of the battle, when you're trying to make real-time decisions, things come out very differently. And a lot of times we look back and go, what in the world was I thinking? Why did I make that decision to get in or to get out? We tend to second guess ourselves. We don't want to go too far with this because we can never find answers sometimes. Sometimes we just have to chalk this up and say, it was a mistake. These are the things that I did wrong. Now I'll practice to make sure I don't do those things anymore. Then you can move on to the next opportunity. Sometimes people will dwell on things endlessly, and that is not healthy to do. Mistakes can actually turn around and help us to show us where things went wrong. Investing can be a real challenge. Getting into the right investments is one challenge. Then getting in at the right time or getting out at the right time can be another challenge. So it shows us where things went wrong. We tend to look at those things in more detail, and we can learn from that. It also keeps us humble. Believe it or not, if you have a real pride issue, the stock market may not be for you. The stock market is its own beast. And people that are successful in other areas of life, maybe in some kind of a profession or in athletics or in music or just in your life, you do really well and you have power and influence. Then you try your hand at the stock market and you find out that you're not very good at that. Well, instead of dwelling on that and saying, well, the market's rigged, I'm never going to win, there's too much to know, the fat cats on Wall Street know things that I don't know, you come up with excuses and decide, I'm not going to do this anymore. Or you just say, I know I'm not going to be right all of the time, but I will be right a lot more than I'm wrong, and the times that I'm wrong, I will try to learn from those experiences. That's a much more healthy approach to take. When we're humble, then we don't take things for granted. We don't assume that something will happen. We're not presumptuous. We don't just think, I've got this all figured out, and so the world is mine. We need to have humility, understanding that the markets can do anything. Even when we analyze things and we have a real high degree of certainty about what we think will happen, there are still times when we will be wrong. It also can motivate us to learn. As I go back through the 25 plus years that I've been involved in the markets, anytime I made a mistake, I wanted to find an answer. So I would read a book, or I would watch a video, or I would talk to other people who are successful. And a lot of times I would find out an answer. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Or I overlooked that. This is what I should have done, but I didn't do it that way. Next time I will know to do things different. All the time you are learning. There are markets that exist now that didn't exist 15, 20 years ago. All the cryptocurrencies, a lot of the ETFs, a lot of different mutual funds, a lot of companies and stocks that we have available to us now didn't exist 20, 25, 30 years ago. When we're learning about these different things to invest in, that gives us a chance to broaden our horizon. And hopefully, what a successful investor will do is develop the attitude of being a lifelong learner. I've been doing this for a long time. I've read I don't know how many books. I've taught I don't know how many classes. I still learn new things all the time. I'm always reading. I'm always checking out new books. I'm always looking at videos. I'm always listening to different teachers because you never stop learning. That can be one of the real exciting things about the stock market. It never ends. You can still have success with a more limited amount of information, but as you learn more and more, then you can enjoy even greater success. It also makes us more mature. We realize that we're not always going to be right. We realize that we can't do things based on emotions. We have to use logic. We have to use wisdom. When you get to that point, you'll find there's a greater possibility of having success in the markets. And, of course, we learn what to do differently next time, because we'll repeat that same mistake again if we don't learn our lesson. The idea is to develop a plan that's based on logic rather than emotion. If you want to base it on emotion, please go to Las Vegas. Go to a casino. You'll have more fun. They have nice food. They have nice shows. It's a lot better environment than sitting on a computer and gambling that way. Because that's what emotions do. You're gambling at that point, and any success you have is pure luck. We want to go to the next level and have a plan that is developed using logic. We're not always going to be right, but we're going to be right most of the time, and we're going to enjoy consistent success because we're using wisdom and logic to make our decisions, both to get in while we're holding on to a position and then when we get out. So I want to thank you very much for watching this short video. I really appreciate that. If desired, please click the like or dislike. Also, leave any comments. That really helps me out for feedback. Also, consider subscribing to this channel by clicking on the little icon, and then you can also be notified anytime I post a new video. At the beginning of this video, I talked about a workshop. Please feel free to check that out. I also have a blog. They're pretty much carbon copies of what I talk about in the videos, but these are in writing instead of watching or listening to a video. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.